Are you going to tag Ben?
Sure can.
All right. You tag Ben that way, and then I'll tag.
All right.
Come on, baby.
Trying
look
to...
at that. And I'll do our sponsors too.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't know why it's working. Can you tag Ben? Because I'm not.
Yeah, I'm tagging Ben right now.
I'm not seeing it on my end.
Say Edcraft and got him. I think I got them all here.
Let's see. All right. Yeah, I'm good now.
Yep. Right. We got Ben, Edcraft Athlete, and we got the scoreboard page.
All right.
Locked and loaded, baby. Oh, yeah.
Got some people jumping on.
Yeah, wait like another minute or two, and they're already. Oh man, they probably want our guest's autograph. I'm assuming they're going to try to find a way.
No chance.
I want it. I'll just.
There's a lot of people that want to get payback on me, probably.
Yeah, those people might be watching.
Let's see. All right. Start playing some music.
Yeah, we need to figure that out.
I know there's a way to do it, but I'm not.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
I got music.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Ready to get rolling?
Ready?
Yeah, we're good. Let's go. All right. So welcome to episode number 9 of Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. We have a special guest sitting beside me here, Ben Erwin, in the house. We'll get to his introduction here in a second. First of all, we gotta shout out sponsors, AdCraft, with the shirt, the merch that we got. Fatly, we still have that in the works, and Stenda is going to go over the t-shirt winner for this week based off what we did last week. So you want to fill everyone in on that and tell who the winner is for that there, Stenda?
Yes. So we drew a random number, and the winner is Brady, the Range Rover Grell. So if he's on here, Brady, and you know that name, Brady got that in baseball. The announcer used to call him Brady, the Range Rover Grell. So Brady, if you're on here, what's that?
Why was he called the Range Rover?
So their senior year, they came up with nicknames for everybody, and it was Jalen Bertrand's dad, and it was Brady the Range Rover Grell. You guys probably remember Brett Johnson was Brett the Bulldog Johnson.
Okay.
But yeah, so
nice.
Brady Grell. So I'll hit him up. I'll find out what his size, what he wants, and I'll get him a t-shirt. So
sounds good.
Congratulations, Brady.
Yeah, thanks, Brady. And also everyone else that's listening, you can keep inviting your friends and tell them to like and follow our Facebook page, Beyond the Scoreboard Facebook. We also got a Twitter or an X page too, Beyond the Scoreboard podcast as well there. And then I usually put the link up for every week's video on that as well. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest here, Ben Erwin. So Ben, if you could go ahead and just give a little background on yourself and maybe into what you do and your coaching, and go that route there.
All right. My wife and I settled in Comanche. I guess it's been quite a few years ago now. State trooper for 19 years, just switched over a couple years ago to DCI, doing little investigations, and then kind of always been involved in sports in Comanche. Really got my start with Josh Davis, the old coach at Comanche, and he used to coach me at Ashford, so that was kind of our connection there. And really, I can't even remember how many years ago I started helping Josh just on this side. I'd come in every once in a while and do some one-on-one drills with some of the guys that he wanted me to work with, and then it kind of led to another thing, and then I was on the bench, and then the rest is history.
Well, and you also
GOAT.
baseball, right?
Yeah, I
And then
coached high school baseball with Cochran. He was gracious enough to bring me on his staff, and then I assist my daughter's team out at Northeast for her basketball season.
almost didn't invite him because of that, but we're good.
I was worried about that.
Bro, hey, I got to
No,
ask.
I'm
Come
joking.
on,
I'm joking.
Northeast? Come on.
I know. It's tough. It still is tough. Trust me. But the things you do for your kids.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. I do got a question on baseball, though, before we roll into this. So is it true that somebody told me this before, you could throw like in high school, like in the 90s? You could bring the smoke.
92 is the highest I've been clocked at.
Dang.
So like was that like a legit, or is that like you just like coming up with like some old school, like, that's 92?
If the coach tells me it's 92, I'm going to say it's 92. He could have been lying to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd like to see that radar gun.
I don't think that thing was calibrated.
Probably wasn't.
That's some smoke,
that's-
though. I can't remember who told me that story or was talking about you before. And then I think I asked you, and you're like, yeah, something like that. I'm like, that's some smoke.
out of Earlville, Illinois.
Well, it was
right?
the Ashford's baseball coach, I think at the time, was the one that recruited me was trying to recruit me, I think, for baseball. Or he was trying to get me to throw, even while I was at Ashford.
Throwing that smoke.
Earlville High School. Was it Earlville High School, right?
Yeah.
Tiny little town in Illinois.
Yeah, like 1,400 people.
Yeah. Bringing gas on the mountain.
Bring in the smoke from Big Ben Erwin.
That was the first time. I'm surprised I've never heard that before.
We could throw
Ben.
you could throw a no hitter in Earlville and still lose the game.
Yeah. Okay.
It happened.
Yeah, that happens, especially in high school.
Yeah.
I've seen that a lot.
Yeah.
Man, I can't believe you never told me that story.
Yeah.
All the times on the bench, I figured you'd.
I don't bring it up.
Oh, okay.
But I do love baseball, though. Stenda,
Yeah.
I forgot you coached at Comanche baseball.
Yeah, that would have. Yeah, God, that was right. Would have been maybe the 2010 season, because I was at Clinton the year before with Lakin. We coached sophomores, and then I was just an assistant, and then Comanche in 2010 was head sophomore for that 1 year. Yeah, then I did softball the next year. Yeah,
baseball in Iowa is tough.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
I
so
agree.
much. I love baseball. It's right up there as far as I don't know if it's one or two between basketball and baseball, but when you're coaching a good team, it is a blast.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it takes a lot more. I think skill to play baseball than anything. I mean, especially hitting a baseball, man, that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
I think like hitting is one of the most difficult things to do and out of all the sports. But yeah, but you had some really good teams though when you were coaching. Didn't you guys make it to state a couple times?
We made it to state once.
Once?
Yeah, we lost to go to state 1 year on a walk-off hit. It was rough.
Oh.
We were up
West Branch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were up
last inning. Yeah.
Last inning.
Was it? Yeah. They scored 3 in the last, I think.
Yeah.
I was at that game.
It just gave me goosebumps again thinking about it.
Well, the game to go to state when that against Beckman, that was against Beckman, right? At Solon. That game was one of the craziest high school baseball games I ever watched in my life. Because it was the final like 12-11 or something.
Yeah.
And we hit a grand slam to go. We were down.
We started up 6-0, I think.
Yeah.
And the crowd Beckman's crowd was quiet. Then all of a sudden they started coming back, and it's tie game, and all of a sudden they take the lead. Now our crowd's quiet. And we go down 4.
Yeah, it was
we
like
go down
10-6,
and I'm like, oh boy, we get bases loaded. I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it.
It
It is the greatest baseball game I've ever been a part of. Period. Well, and then down 4, Mason Burns comes up and hits a grand slam to tie it up.
It's a bomb.
It's a bomb.
Yeah, that was cool. I was right over where I was at too. And it was one of those where like when he hit it, you weren't sure if it was going to go out, like because it was high, but he got a hold of it, and you're like, oh, that might go, and then you just keep seeing it carry. You're like, oh my god, that's going. But
as far as emotions go, the ups and downs of that game, because the very next inning, the next half inning, their leadoff hitter hits a home run to go up 1 again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then we come up in the bottom to We get a couple runners on, and the legend Mikey Delzell hits the game-winning hit.
Mm-hmm.
Does he?
Yes, he does. And
Man,
he just,
that game was awesome. Yeah.
I've told people this 100 times. When he got up to bat, it sounds confident, but I knew the game was over.
Yeah.
That kid's done it for so many years.
Yeah.
I've watched it happen. So,
and that year, I mean, there were so many kids that had great years that year. Mikey, Mason, Kyle Dewart, your stepson. Geez, man.
I think
he
Mason,
was unreal that year.
I don't remember exactly, but Burns hit over 400. Kyle was over 400. I think Mikey was over 400.
Yeah.
There was multiple guys. We had a bunch of dudes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're hitting over 400.
They might have even been in the 500s, to be honest with you. I can't remember exactly, but they were on fire.
That's raking. If you're hitting at high school level at 400 or above, you're raking.
Yeah.
I don't care what I don't care if it's 1A, 4A. You're raking the ball if you're hitting.
It's funny going to state. I can't even remember who we were playing the first game. Chad will laugh right now because I'm terrible at remembering names or teams, but they had a pitcher that we knew we were going to face, and he was going JUCO, D1 JUCO, and he could throw 94, 95, the hype. And we were just hyping the kids up all week, trying to get them ready for this guy. And we came out and scored 16, 17 runs on him. We took him out of the game in the first inning.
Was that Denver?
Yeah, Denver.
Denver. Yeah.
Denver. That's not too far from. Yeah, I know where Denver's at.
Yeah, that game was crazy too. Yeah. That was a fun group to watch. And then that group, semifinals in football, state basketball, third place, and then
we had
third place for baseball too, right? Or did you get fourth?
Fourth.
Yeah, but
they went to state in football, baseball, basketball. I'm sure there was track. They had
track kids too.
Kids.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
We had Dylan Darcet in cross country too. I think. Yeah, it was a crazy year, man. It's fun.
I think I know I've said this a few times on some of these, but it's crazy how the culture has changed there in Comanche. And, because, back in the day, it was not, athletics were not really a strong point, at least not on the, the male side. And now it's like Comanche is like the powerhouse, like in all sports around there. I don't know so much about baseball, because I haven't seen it for a long time, but like you look at football and basketball and stuff, it's like, dude, you guys are just literally beating up on people.
Got a good thing going, brag a little bit about the guy to my left, but you got some good coaches right now in Comanche that are doing a nice job getting players out, keeping players players happy. I think all the coaches kind of work well together as far as, because there's so much asked of these athletes these days in high school, as far as, it's baseball season. They're doing football workouts. They got basketball open gyms. They got basketball tournaments during baseball season. And it works, when they're in basketball season, they're doing something else. There's a lot being asked of these kids, and the coaches are working together. I know Coit and I would chat during football or during baseball season, and our players did a good job letting them know, hey, we got a game tonight. So-and-so is pitching. Okay, we're going to do a light workout today, but they're still going to go and get a work,out in.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
I think it kept them busy, kept them active, woke them up in the morning. I think it was a good thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. At a small school, everyone's got to be on the same page. Plain and simple. And there's times where, certain coaches may be like, oh, do you really need to do this? But yeah. So, everyone else, every other school is doing it too, so it's not like we're the only ones doing it here. But yeah, I would agree with Ben. Our coaches work well together. We're sharing athletes constantly, and we're trying to get kids to do as many things as possible. I try to get all our football players to run track. I try to, want them to play basketball, wrestle, baseball, all that kind of stuff, so it's only, I don't like the kids that are like, oh, I'm only going to play football. That's great. Yeah, you're playing, but then you're not competing, at all until football season again. So get out there, do something, compete. Sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone, and do things you may not want to do, or maybe not be your favorite, I should say. But I think that's the best. I'm going to use that example later on in the show about somebody that Ben knows pretty well, but we'll go that route. comment real quick there. Shelby Coit, she's in Arizona right now. She's visiting her parents out there. She said, "Good to see a different Big Ben talked about on the podcast instead of Big Ben Roethlisberger. We got Big
man.
Ben Erwin."
Whatever, Shelby. Hey, Shelby, I'm still representing tonight, so don't worry about it. All right.
Better get a Fields jersey.
Jeez, yeah.
Hey, I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna.
Part of me hopes he does really well. Part of me hopes he doesn't.
Why, dude? He's coming to Pitt. Tomlin's gonna. We're gonna get our 7th Super Bowl with Justin Fields.
Okay.
It's coming.
Good luck. I like Fields though. I hope he does well.
Yeah.
But
we ain't even got to talk about the Bears because you ain't got to worry about them even getting to the playoffs, dog. So
I don't know. We'll see.
I think playoffs in the future.
It's getting close.
Yeah.
Turning on at the end of the year there. We'll see. They have a great defense. They're getting some weapons. Just wait. Just wait, Stenda.
Hear this? We've been hearing this since 1985, dude.
Should we put a bet on who's gonna have a better record, Steelers or Bears? Just coming in.
Come on, dude. Caleb Williams are not. The Steelers won 10 games with 3 terrible quarterbacks.
Yeah.
So yeah, what you want to do another wager? What do you want to do this time?
I don't know. Can I think about it? I'm not good at thinking of wagers on the spot here. I'm not really, no. But
don't let me.
Got to run a mile and a half or something.
That's a terrible wager. Stenda runs all the time, so I don't. Well, he says he does. I don't know, but
I do. Oh yeah, I still run. Yeah, I still run. I'm a little heavier than I was in the high school days, but
oh yeah, who isn't? Come on, man.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go comments real quick here. Ryan Jordan, he said, "I think it's great to see the true support you coaches give to the other programs." Yeah. And you got to as head coaches. I mean, if you're working with other head coaches that aren't supporting your programs, then you have kids like following that coach. Like if a head coach says, "Hey, you really shouldn't play football," or "Hey, I really don't want you to play basketball," like that isn't fair to the kid, too. And some kids might maybe respect the basketball coach a little more than the football coach. And then they're like, "Oh, well, my basketball coach says I shouldn't play." And then that's when you run into 2 problems there. But to my knowledge, I haven't had that I know of any coach say like, "No, you really shouldn't play football. I really shouldn't do that." I mean, every football player, I tell them they got to do something else, so, or I want them to. They don't always, but yeah, I think you got to support everybody, especially small school stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So first topic here, obviously we have the NCAA tournaments going on with the men and the women tournaments going. I'll be 100% honest. I haven't really watched any of the women's tournament yet. I've only watched the men's tournament, but if you guys have, you can chime in on that too. We will talk a little bit about the difference between emotions of men and women here in a second. But I personally think that the NCAA tournament men's is the best sports weekend, especially the first and second round. I think it's the best sports weekend ever. The Super Bowl is the best like single day event, I think, but the best sports weekend is the NCAA tournament, in my opinion. I take a personal day every Friday of the first round of the NCAA tournament. And it's no secret that I do that. I think now Josh Davis, principal, knows that too. But anyway, so yeah, hopefully I can get that personal day next year too. But anyway, it's just awesome. There's always so many good games. There's always crazy storylines that you don't know of or you hear about of a lot of these mid-major kids that you don't know about till the tournament really. So, I know James Madison got killed today by Duke, but they upset Wisconsin in the first round. You got NC State as an 11 seed that's going to the Sweet 16. Oakland, they just beat Oakland, Oakland beat Kentucky, who has the most wins. And, it's just, there's always something going on. A kid from Oakland hit 10 threes. So yeah, it's just always fun. So many things, so many good stories. what are your guys' thoughts on the tournament?
Big Ben, you go, man. I like to listen to what you guys got to say.
This year's been the strangest year for me because I followed Division I men's basketball like all the time, every year, until like this year I didn't really get a chance to watch very much of it because following my own kid playing college basketball and my friends' kids playing college sports. And the crazy thing, you know, you said you didn't watch many women's basketball. That's probably, I've watched way more women's basketball this year. That being because my daughter's at home and she's got it on the TV, but I'm not going to pass up that opportunity to sit around with her and watch basketball.
Right.
And I've kind of started to really like it. They're fun to watch. The Hawkeye, I mean, I follow the Hawkeyes. I mean, that's her favorite team, and that's who I've been watching. We went to the Big Ten women's basketball tournament in Minnesota, and we were going to stay for one game, their first game. And she looks at me and she's like, "Should we just stay for tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's just stay for tomorrow too." And then we ended up staying again for the championship. It was a blast. Girls basketball has come a long ways, in my opinion. They're fundamental, their athleticism, their shooting. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. But I have started watching the men's basketball tournament time. Like you said, the storylines are crazy. That shooter from Oakland, that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
But
was he the one that hit you're talking about the 10 threes?
Yeah.
10 threes, yeah. Was he like an Uber driver or something? Like he was like playing D2 basketball.
Yeah,
for
he's
4
like,
years.
yeah.
That's awesome.
And then, I mean, there's the Illinois played Morehead State in the first round. They had a kid that was an NAIA transfer, and he tore up Illinois early in that game. I mean, it's just cool to see guys like that get an opportunity on the big stage with everyone watching, and they still perform. But those are the stories I like, and going that route. And there's always some mid-major or some team that does something, like Florida Atlantic last year. They went to the Final Four. You know, they lost first round this year, but there's always good stories with that for sure. With the women's tournament, so obviously, like, I mean, I agree with Ben. I haven't watched, like, again, very little women's basketball, but I've heard more about women's basketball this year and probably a little bit of last year than I think I've ever heard in my life. And then obviously a lot of that is due to living in Iowa and Caitlin Clark doing what she's doing. But then there's like the girl from USC, that Juju Watkins, who a lot of people are talking about. She's got like freshman scoring records, you know. So a lot of women's basketball players out there that haven't really heard of till the last year and this year. So with that being said, a couple weeks ago, there was the fight between the LSU and South Carolina girls in the SEC championship game there. But so I guess I think it was Angel Reese, the LSU player. I don't remember exactly. I know, Stinda, you shared the tweet with me. I don't remember exactly what it said. I know she was basically saying how when girls show emotion, when they do something well, there's so many people that be like, gosh, why are they acting like that? You know, or what are they doing? And then the men show the emotion and nobody really says anything, and it's just what they do. And everyone's kind of used to that, you know? So I guess, and I think that's part of what may have caused that fight in that LSU South Carolina game. The one girl kind of was showing some emotion, bumped the other girl, and then the 6'7" girl from South Carolina just destroyed I think it was Johnson from LSU, and then her brother's jumping onto the stand into the court and all that. But I guess where you guys stand on as far as girls showing emotion compared to boys, because I know a lot of people are talking about that. You want to go
Ben,
first?
Go Ben. Yeah, because you're coaching right now, Ben, and you know you watch a lot of basketball. So I'd like to hear what you have to say first.
I think it kind of goes back to I think girls basketball right now is, and people are watching it more. People are starting to pay attention. They're starting to watch it, so they're starting to see some things that they didn't think happened on the floor when girls are playing basketball. But in all reality, they've probably always been happening.
Yeah.
I mean, girls are just as competitive as guys. I mean, there's
Absolutely.
emotions. They're going to be fighting to win, just as bad as a guy wants to fight to win. I think, I don't know. Sometimes we've all coached or been in a game where officials are letting things go to a certain point. That's going to, something's going to happen. Like something's going to blow up. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that's the case. I didn't actually watch that game. I just watched the highlights of the fight, but I would have a good guess though that maybe the officials were letting that game go and get really physical and letting the chirping go and letting the chirping go, and then finally it just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
But as far as like girls' emotions and guys, yeah, use Caitlin Clark as a perfect example. I mean, everybody's watching her, and you see
Absolutely.
stuff all over Twitter while we were at the Big Ten women's tournament and about her attitude and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, she's not the only one. I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
no different than guys,
Right.
There's girls from other teams acting the same way, but everybody's watching her because she is probably the greatest women's basketball player right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's
100%.
watching her.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I kind of made some notes, like, and I want you guys to, when I get to them, like, what you guys think. But number one, it's a double standard because, I mean, you guys both made very good points. Why is it the women they're playing at the highest level at college? They're playing with the best college women that are playing basketball at that level. Why is it not okay for them to be emotional? Those types of incidents that happen that we're talking about, like fights, whether it happens with males or women, those are few, far, and in between. They don't happen every single night. Their emotions get the best from whether you're a man or a woman. Why is it embarrassing for a woman to show passion and love for the game? And guess what? Maybe once in a blue moon, it gets out of hand and something like that happens. Why is it? And I think that's what that Angel Reese, when she tweeted that, was like, she talks about growing up. I have it here. She says, I'm too hood. I'm too ghetto. I don't fit the narrative. I'm from Baltimore where you hoop outside and you talk trash. And she says, let's normalize women showing passion for the game instead of it being embarrassing. And it's double standard. It's like, if I had a daughter, I would want my daughter to be, when you say like the trash talk is part of sports, right? And it's all good, clean fun. At the end of the game, you shake hands, you hug, it's all love, it's nothing personal. But this happened with the women's, and I see all these tweets, and these people are like, even people on my Facebook page, it's so embarrassing. Women don't act that way. I'm like, hold on a second. What do you mean women don't act that way? So they're not able to be competitive, playing at the highest level, and they're crucified for letting something. I mean, we watched NBA. We watched Dennis Rodman. We watched Ron Artest. We watched Gary Payton, Charles Barkley. They did all these things for years. And what did people do? They loved it, right? But then you say women do something, and it's like, it's just a double standard. And I feel like, like you said, I think you made really good points that the game has changed and it's more exciting to watch now, but it was happening before. But now it's like, oh, if a woman does it, it's like, that's embarrassing. It's not ladylike. It's like, they're athletes and they're the best athletes at their sports. So I seeing that it's one thing to like yell profanities and things like that. They're not doing that. I mean, come on. Like, you would think, people would like that happening with women to show some fire and, the competitive side of it. So
I can't lie and say there's times where I'm like, it's hard to watch sometimes, when Caitlin Clark is acting the way she acts sometimes.
Yeah.
It is. It's hard to watch, but it's no different than watching my own kids sometimes when they act like that. But, or kids that I've coached in the past. But I don't know, maybe you can disagree or agree with me, Dustin, but some of the players that I've coached in the past, the really good ones had that kind of that's, I don't know, I use the word swagger. I always try to get kids to be confident, be like feel like know you're going to win this game, like I am going to beat you. Like you have to have that kind of confidence to be good. I think I'm sure there's the people out there that are really calm and quiet and can still do it, but you got to have that some kind of confidence inside.
Yeah,
swag.
you got swag, or I mean, I used to always preface things with Shelby. I'd always be like, not to sound cocky or anything, but
Right.
I'm what I'm going to say is going to be cocky, but it like you have to have a little bit of that cockiness. Every good player that I've known too has been a little bit cocky,
Right.
or
Right.
sometimes a lot of bit cocky, if that's, and that's okay. Like, as long as you can back it up and you can back it up, then, and you got to hold it within a certain degree. Yeah. I mean, you can't be like freaking out on people and
Right.
doing that kind of thing. Yes. But every good player has that in them, and
Edge.
it's okay to have, like, and that's kind of what these women players are too. I mean,
I think you want Caitlin Clark playing with an edge.
Yeah.
She's got to be out there playing with an edge.
And a lot of those girls do. And the only thing I don't like is like last year with the Angel Reese doing the whole, the like pointing to her ring finger the whole time, like the last minute of the game when they knew they were going to win or whatever. I mean, that's okay. Do it one time or two times,
Right.
and then it's over, but, I mean, other than that, like, I have nothing against girls showing emotion or doing that kind of thing, but it is, I agree, Stinda is definitely probably a double standard, for sure. But
well, it is.
yeah,
I mean,
conversation.
It's bad because, I mean, you're literally looking at, like I said, when you watch, like, and I guess this is NBA, so it's a step up, but when you watch, like I said, Rodman, those guys, Barkley, look at LeBron James. If we're talking about Caitlin Clark, look at LeBron James. I've never seen the biggest crybaby that's ever played in the NBA, regardless of what he's done. Come on. So Caitlin Clark can't show some emotion, and LeBron James is out there, literally looks like a newborn baby that's crying on the court.
I think there's a lot of people that don't like to watch LeBron James too.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's a good point too. There's at the same time, they're kind of like, oh, maybe this is, I like to watch it because he looks like an idiot sometimes. But it's like, I just think that standard, it's like, I can see from, maybe for you guys can answer this. I kind of look at it this way. You have to break it down in three aspects: from the spectator standpoint of a spectator fan, as a parent, and then as a player. And I'd imagine you guys can probably say, as a spectator, it's entertainment. It's entertainment. You love it. As a parent, what would you say as a parent? What are you going to say to your daughter about that? Like, hey, what would you say, Ben, to your daughter if she's like, hey, Dad, what do you think of this?
I don't think she'd ever ask me what do I think about it, but I've thought about it. Like, what if my daughter was hitting threes and what do they kids do? Shoot bow and arrow or put the three sign in the air. I've thought about, like, what would I say something to my daughter if she did that? And I'm like, I don't know if I would. Like, I don't know what the over the line is, but I don't think that would be over the line for me. Like, would I really like it personally? Probably not. But if that's what she's feeling in the moment, or a dude is feeling in the moment in a game with playing with adrenaline, wanting to win, like, whatever, like, as long as you're not doing something to the crowd or being disrespectful to another coach, maybe that's probably when I would say something to my own kid, but never had to. I don't think I would.
Because I'm sure at the end it'd be more of a, you shake hands, you give a hug, it's all love. It's nothing personal. It's just it's the game itself. Like, I don't know. I mean,
well, and I mean, so I know Ben said something about, going to the Big Ten tournament with his daughter and watching the women's tournament at home, and he's not going to pass that opportunity up. And I mean, Shelby's in Arizona, so it's Knox and I here, and we watched a lot of basketball this weekend, and he was just watching the Illinois games. He's like, hey, he does like, acts like he's shooting and then does like an impression, like the three thing. He's like, who am I? Which Illinois player? I'm like, first of all, this is awesome that you're doing this. Second of all, in my head, I'm kind of like, every single team does something when they hit a three, in this tournament. And I don't even think anything of it half the time. But I also, in the back of my mind, it was like, now, if Knox is doing that when he's like in 6th and 7th grade, I might have a problem with that. Like, just make your three, get back on defense. All right. Now, if it's like a varsity high school game and he puts up 3 fingers after he makes a three, that's whatever, Now, if he's like throwing it in the opponent's face or saying something to a coach, then we're gonna have a problem. But yeah, I'm when I'm coaching like football, and even, I mean, I coached with Ben in basketball, like, I'm extremely, like, I show emotion like crazy.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, but like, that's just who I am. That's how I'm wired. And I'm sure there's some people that are like watching me on the sidelines of a football game, running down with the player that is running on the sideline. Like, what the hell is that guy doing? What's his problem? I'm just excited, like just the way it is. And I've been, on basketball benches going crazy too. And Ben's got a really good, what was that chatter thing? We can't talk about it on air,
Yeah.
but yeah, he got me on that. But yeah, I think showing emotion's fine. I just don't like, I have an issue with like, showing too much emotion toward like a call to an official,
Yeah.
Which I know Caitlin Clark gets a lot of rap for. There was that video of her dad literally yelling at her to stop complaining, but even like, so I'm an Illinois fan, and we were watching the game, their first game, Knox and I, and Coleman Hawkins like goes up, thought he got fouled, and he literally under the basket turns and like throws his hand up to the ref and doesn't get back on defense. And then Morehead State goes in transition and buries a three because he's not back on defense. And I literally tell Knox, I go, that's how you lose games right there. I go, just get back and play, and then on the other end of it, Terrence Shannon Jr., Illinois' best player, there's a loose ball. He falls down. The ball's still rolling. He gets back up and then dives on the floor for the ball and throws it off the Morehead State guy. I'm like, well, that's how you win games, So
Yeah.
it's nice that they're able to see that, but you want to be able to show emotions. Now, coaches I know get emotional too and can get on officials a little bit, but they're to some degree allowed to do that, and that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm all for the emotions for
I
sure.
think the good teams have a mix. They have that player that's got all the emotion, and then they got that workhorse that just doesn't say a thing, that just goes out there and whatever you need. If I got, I'll guard whoever you want me to guard. I'll do this. I'll jump. They have no emotion. I think the good teams have a good mix. You got to have. I mean, the great teams have that dude. That's cocky. That's I hate using the word cocky because that sounds bad, but just like just that dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you guys? I mean, what do you guys like? Ben, like for basketball, like, what do you talk to do you talk to the girls about? Like, hey, you ain't saying nothing to the referees. Like, do you talk to them about that before season? Like, do you guys have those conversations?
I think that's always been boys and girls is, we try to control your emotions. We'll talk to the officials, let the coaches talk to the officials, but it's hard,
Yeah. And I mean, I think by the time they get to the varsity level, they kind of already know that, and I mean, most of them do.
Do they have to be reminded during the game?
Sometimes, yes. Yeah. And well, I know a lot of, I mean, football wise, the common one is, oh, I'm getting held. That's say every play, but, like I'll have kids be like, hey, can you talk to the ref? I'm getting held. I'm like, yeah, I can. I go, but you also can like do it respectfully too. Like, hey, sir, could you watch 72? He's holding me, I think, every play. They're gonna, if you're actually getting held, then if you do it respectfully, they're gonna look at it. I think, and
I think that's
they're just like in a football game. There's so much going through my head where I'm not always like, oh, I have to tell the ref to watch 72. But I do sometimes. But
speaking of talking to the official, I think that's kind of a lost art. Like you don't see it anymore. Like, back in the day, like players could talk to the officials, or have like some communication, or officials would talk to players, like even during the play, like, hey, hands off, hands off, hands off, like, instead of just blowing the whistle,
right,
to kind of keep the flow going. But lots changed, since our playing days. But now, I mean, there's everybody's too hard on officials.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that to a degree. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be an official. No way.
Yeah, I mean,
no, it's
sometimes though these officials, I think they've lost the art of communicating with players too. Like just they're quick whistles, or if a coach barks at them and then it's an instant tee, or something like that. Like you can have some communication.
Yeah.
It's crazy how if you're around high school, then you watch a college sport and how coaches can interact with officials at the college level compared to the high school level. It's wow, completely different.
Big difference.
Yeah. And I think, well, we got Jeff Newman commented on that's kind of what he's saying. He said college and pro allow the talk gestures, and high school gets penalized when you're celebrating. Celebration is at the expense of opponent or drawing unnecessary attention to yourself. So, but I mean, college and pro, yeah, there's a ton of unnecessary attention to themselves. Like again, like I'll use Illinois for example. I love them; they're my team. But I
Do you
mean,
like Illinois? I didn't know if you're a fan or not.
I do. I love Illinois. Have I said that before?
I'm just,
But I got it's on the back.
I
Of
know
my
you
mind.
love. I know you love, man.
But
I love it.
they're making threes and they're like blowing three kisses, like kiss like a three fingers to the crowd, like they're Illinois crowd. But it's still, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. It's just how it is now. So we gotta go that route.
Back to the officials watching Zach at Kirkwood. Some of the games, I'd be like, "Holy cow!" I mean, some of like our coaches or the other team's coaches can really bark at these officials. And there'd be a game that I was an assistant coach, maybe for Josh or even now at Northeast, where I'd say something on the bench and they'd turn and yell at me right away, like I can't speak. I'm like, "What, man?"
Yeah, I had that a lot as an assistant. I'd say something to an official, like, Justin can't talk. I'm like, all right, I guess I can't. But and I get
Are
it.
they like that in football?
They don't want some are. I mean, in football, it's especially if something's coming down the sideline, and you have all 6 of your coaches all yelling, hold, or whatever, or blocking the back or anything like that. Most of them don't want to listen to the other coaches, and I get it. You don't want 6 people yelling at you or yelling in your ear. But I've had my fair share of getting on officials, but actually I've calmed down a lot since when I first was head coach. I was pretty bad actually. I was always kind of like, God, I got to stop doing that. But sometimes my emotions took over, and my first year we were 1-8, so I was pissed off because we were losing a lot. So, but I have calmed down a little bit, I think. And obviously they're not going to see everything. Especially football. I mean, you probably throw a hold every single play if you wanted to, but that's not obviously going to happen. But
right.
Yeah. So I don't know.
In basketball, thank God we had Coach Grimm next to us to calm us down.
Grimm was the calming force for sure. He
Have you guys ever been kicked out? You guys ever been kicked out of any competition as a coach?
No.
I probably should have won a game this year in football, but I did not. I've gotten technical as a basketball coach before, a couple actually, but not. No, never been kicked out. I got teed up. I got teed up after a game one time.
Nice.
You did after a game?
Yeah, it was like I think it was either a freshman or sophomore game in Comanche, and it was against Fulton. I used to coach against them, so I was a little more amped up, or I used to coach for them, so I was a little more amped up. And we were down like 3. Our kid hit a shot and his foot was on the line. Like I saw his foot was on the line and he made it, so it was a 2. And I was trying to call timeout, and I was like on the floor yelling timeout, 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 and the ref is literally like looking right at me and doesn't grant my timeout. So I'm like, well, I was calling timeout, and I like turn and kick the bench, and the time had ran out, and he like teased me up, and I go, what? I go, game's over. I go, what does that mean? He goes, oh no, but you're getting a technical, and I'm like, oh, thanks, bud. And then nothing happened, like no free throws, nothing. But yeah, it happens.
Oh, I just got a text. I guess I did get kicked out of a game.
Oh, you did?
Baseball.
Yeah, Sarah just commented. She said, Ben Erwin, you got kicked out. You got booted out of a
baseball. I forgot.
Yeah, baby. Now it comes out, buddy.
I do. That was at the Lumber King Stadium, right? Was that the Lumber King Stadium?
Yep.
Yeah. I think I might have been at that game. I think I do remember
that. You got to tell us now, because the cat's out of the bag now,
Careful.
brother.
Careful.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. It was I just was
emotions got the best of me.
Yeah, emotions got the best of me. I was not in agreement with the home plate umpire.
He run you. He ran you
Yeah,
out.
I was actually surprised too, because I've actually done worse, before. But yeah, I was.
Well, yeah, a lot of it depends on the actual official. Some, I mean, they all have pretty thick skin because they hear a lot, but some have thinner skin than others too. So
right.
Yeah.
I
got booted out when I was at Comanche my last year coaching softball. I got booted against Tipton, coaching third base. I can't remember where Dodd was at. I got booted on a play at home plate. I ended up, I was going to walk away and I took the bat and hit it on the home plate. And the umpire, he ran me out of the game. And then the Tipton coach was sitting there with like his staff and they like were literally talking smack to me. And I literally turned to them. I said, y'all better shut up, dude, or I'm coming over there. And they're like, oh, hey, man. And they're like, the guy's like, leave. I was like, no, I'm not leaving. And like, I think Grim was there and even Coach Davis. And they're like, dude, Stinton, come on. I was like, I was saying stuff. I had this bat. I took this bat with me, walked off the field and everyone was clapping. And then we had to play that. We had districts coming up. That was the last regular season game. And I got to coach in districts, but then would have to sit for the next competition in the following season. But that was the only time I ever got ran out, but it was worth it.
Do you know if like officials or umpires, do they have to take a class if they kick out somebody? Because I know the coaches have to take a class.
Yeah, I don't know. We should. I think. So I think, and if Jeff Newman's still listening, I'm sure he can comment on this. But I'm pretty sure if they like kick a player or a coach out, they have to file a report.
Okay.
For like what happened and everything. I'm like 99% sure that's the case. So they have to like report it to the state, and then because we get like the state sends out at the end of the year like all their reports, and one of them is like how many ejections there were with the coaches or players and all that, which the numbers are actually really low as far as ejections go, but well, I think they're low. I don't know, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they got to fill out a report as well.
Thanks, Bill Lodge, for reminding me of that.
Oh, nice. He sent the text. Nice.
I'd love to see it. I bet you could get after. I'm sure you're a pretty calm. You're a calm guy, but I'm sure you get pissed off. It's probably
pretty calm.
I was thinking. So when Ben and I were coaching basketball, it was. I'm pretty sure it was a JV game at Bellevue. I think it might have been. Was it Zach's freshman year or sophomore year? I know he was playing varsity, but you were helping coach me with the JV.
It was freshman.
His freshman year, yeah. So we're playing Bellevue at Bellevue, and we were way better than them. They weren't great, and I think we were winning by like 2 at halftime. We were actually up at halftime, and we just were playing like crap. Mm-hmm. And I remember I go in and I kind of got into them a little bit about how they were playing. And then Ben is kind of standing there. I could tell he was like fuming. And I'm like, whatever he says is fine, So he's talking, and all of a sudden in the Bellevue locker room, they have like a little whiteboard on the cement wall. And he just turns and punches the whiteboard and with the cement wall right behind it. Punched. Like, I'm like, oh shit. I think he just broke his hand, I'm like, oh no. But he didn't even miss a beat. He's just laying into these kids. Kids are like, oh my God. They're probably the same thing. He's like, pretty sure he just broke his hand.
Yeah.
But
they're laughing inside.
Inside. Sure. Oh yeah. But I'm sure they've seen that. You coached them for a while, but we came out that second half and we rolled them. But yeah, he can get fired up. Don't let the calmness fool you, for sure.
Yeah.
We all can. It's all good.
We all get fired up.
Yeah. That's why we do it. We are passionate and we want to.
It's because it is because we believe in them so much.
Yeah.
Like you believe in the kids you coach so much, how good they can be. And when they're not, or they're not playing up to their potential, whether it's just a bad night or maybe the effort's not where you have seen it before or whatever the occasion is it's frustrating as a coach, like it's, you want them to succeed. You don't want them to lose or fail. Like you believe in them so much. Sometimes the emotion gets the best of you.
Well, and most coaches know like what message they have to send to their team.
Yeah.
Like there's some teams where you could go in a locker room and freak out and nothing's going to happen. Yeah. There's other teams where you can go in and freak out and they're going to come out like blazing, and you just got to know your personnel, your team. And yeah, I've definitely had teams where I've had to go in and I've wanted to lose it, but if I do, I'm like, this is going to get worse, so you kind of just, I don't want to say coddle, but you kind of just are like, this is what we got to do, let's pick this, let's fix this, fix that. And then there's been locker room talks where I've lost my mind and they've come out going. So
like you said, just knowing that player, You know, I could think of a couple times. Baseball for sure. You know, like you call timeout to come out and talk to your pitcher. You know, and most of the pitchers that I've had have heard every single, you know, motivation or whatever you want to call it.
I can
Talk.
only imagine.
Yeah, there's been some good ones, but I remember this one kid. I walked up and I had in my mind I was gonna just let it go. I was gonna call him out, challenge him, you know, and I put my hand on his shoulder before I was gonna talk, and I could feel his heart rate like from his shoulder. And I'm like, okay, this is not gonna work if I you know
right. Yeah.
change of plans here. Like, you know. But then there's some pitchers that, you know, having Bill Lodge text me made me remember Braden Lodge. You know, he was a dude that I could go out there and challenge, and he wasn't going to be like pouty about it at all. He was going to take the challenge. I had a lot of pitchers like that.
I feel like Comanches, you know, when I was there, I mean, I feel like that's kind of the culture. Like, I remember just the couple years I was there, that's the parents, they instilled that like in the home life. So when you got them in sports, like you could say what you needed to say to them. Like I felt like they took that, like they wanted to be challenged. Where, like I said, you don't see it as much. Like even I always bring up Clinton from, you know, 17 years ago to now. It's like, it's not that way. You know, it's like, long and behold, if a coach says something to them, you know, mom and dad are calling, want to have this meeting, you know, I'm going to quit. We're like, Comanche, that culture, like when I started there, was like, dude, the parents were great. Like the support all around, it was like, you could get after those kids. Again, you guys are right. You have to know the personnel, but the majority of them, like they wanted to be challenged. You know, they're like, all right, hey, let's go. Like they didn't want you to sugarcoat it and coddle it because they were never going to get better if you did that. Where I feel like now, like there's a lot of places that maybe don't have that or not as much. Like it's kind of like, yeah, we don't want to hurt their feelings. It's like, well, how are you ever going to get better if you can't challenge them?
I can just say I was blessed for my time coaching at Comanche and before Comanche doing the travel sports with baseball and basketball, like 100% blessed with parents and the athletes, the kids. Like it's the parents and the kids are the reason why we had this success. I mean, we had some dudes and we had some parents that were willing to do the crazy things like drive 4 hours for a tournament, or, you know, we're going to have practice, you know, it's snowing, but we're still going to practice. You know? You know, like we had a great group of parents and kids, you know, and hopefully that continues in this community.
Yeah. And I agree 100% with that. And a lot of like what you were getting at, Stenda, I mean, most of that's just literally coaching, you know, like, you know, like with what we're saying, how we're handling kids. I mean, I'm sure there's some things where I've said, I know there's things where I said, where like, maybe I shouldn't have said that, you know, or maybe I shouldn't have told that, or cause then I'm like, well, if he goes home and says something to his mom or dad, I may be going to call, you know, or something like that. But I mean, I haven't really had that happen, honestly, you know, and if it did, I would obviously own up to it if I said something wrong, but yeah, and a lot of it's just coaching and knowing how to coach certain kids and getting the most out of them. And most parents are, if you're fair and consistent and doing it the right way, most parents are going to be cool with that, you know, at least I would think. But yeah, and just because we always like every coach that I've ever had and coaching, like if you stop yelling at a kid, that's when you need to worry, you know, because you either done with them or her, and you've said it so many times where you're like, well, they obviously can't figure this out, you know. And then so I don't know, it's kind of how I look at it there.
I like
it. Comments here, which catch up. My wife Shelby said, "Remember, no hard feelings, Stenda. Masters is the best weekend event." I don't know. And this is Coach Dave Grimm, not Gail Grimm, I'm pretty sure, but it says some of the most competitive people I've had the opportunity to coach have been ladies over my coaching career. It's all good, athletes being athletes.
That's
100%.
Can't lie there.
Yeah.
I coached that 1 year for girls basketball.
Oh yeah, you're the head girls coach at Comanche. Yeah.
I was nervous taking that spot and doing that because besides coaching my daughter at the time, who was probably in 4th or 5th grade, I didn't know how to handle high school girls or if I had to treat them different or whatever. So I just went into it kind of not thinking about it at all, just do how I normally do it. And like Coach Grimm said, like they're competitive. They wanted to be pushed. You could get after them just as hard or even harder than some of the guys that I coached.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. It was fun.
So we're gonna get into. Anybody got anything else on the tournament or anything before we move on? I know we got a little bit into it, but nothing. Nothing.
No,
Extended. You're good. Big college basketball guy there. All right. So Ben, I'm gonna ask you some more questions here. So obviously you kind of hit on it. You coached a little bit of everything as you grown up. I mean, your kids and high school level and all that. So my thing with you, I've always wondered, you like part owner of like a lawn care, snow removal. You're a big DCI agent now. You went and did big border patrol for a while. State trooper. I mean, you've literally done all kinds of different jobs. I think you like own some properties and do stuff with that. So how do you balance all that as well as kind of coaching and all that kind of stuff? Explain that to me, please, if you can.
Number one, marry someone that is going to put up with all that.
Yeah.
So big shout out to my wife, Sarah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've just always have to be busy. I don't know. It's something I'm probably going to have to work on as I get older because I can't probably maintain, working this much all the time. But I just like staying busy. Yeah, I mean, obviously you have your full-time job that pays the bills and health insurance and stuff like that. But as far as coaching, I can't even, I just love basketball. I love baseball. So I've always loved being around sports. Sports is like my number one thing. I remember years ago when we were trying to decide if Zach was going to go to school early for preschool. And it was like a big fight. Like I wanted to hold Zach back, that was like my main focus the whole time as we go into this meeting with the teacher and the principal. And the whole time they're like, Ben, all you're thinking about is sports. I'm like, well, yeah.
Right.
Yes. That's all I'm thinking about right now. But, I'm glad we obviously it all worked out great. But
yeah.
I don't know. I just like to be busy. I don't think I'll ever stop, to be honest with you.
Well, I remember when I was coaching basketball with you that we would have a game and it'd get over at 10 o'clock and you'd be like, go home. I got to take an hour and a half nap and I got to work night shift. I'm like, what? So like we just went through these games and then goes home and takes a nap for an hour and then goes into work for 8 hours, and then does it again. But
yeah,
I was like, I don't know if I would want to do that, but
like the games at Monticello or Mid Prairie.
Yeah.
The game doesn't even get over till 10 o'clock at night. And I'd always drive home with Sarah and we'd have the van or a vehicle that we'd have all the seats down and I would lay down with the blanket and pillow and try to get a nap on the way home before I'd go to work.
Yeah.
But
that's crazy.
That
was just because I didn't want to use all my vacation. I wanted to go to all my kids' events, so I wanted to save my vacation for times when they played on the weekends or, stuff like that.
Yeah. That's a hard balance. Well, it's probably easier now is it easier now being with your new position where it's primarily days? Does that make it more convenient?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it also makes it easier that there's only one kid playing in high school now,
Yep.
And then in college, I'm not there. I don't have to be there for practices. It's just Wednesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah.
But yes, it definitely is easier working a Monday through Friday job.
Yeah, I'm sure than working them overnights. Man.
That'd have been nice 10 years ago, but
I remember meeting up with you. I remember a few times back in the day, and it's like, you're like, dude, I've been up for 15 hours and you're working that 9 to 6 shift. It's like, that's crazy. I mean, kudos to you, but man, you got to sleep at some point, man.
Yeah.
Sleeping in cars.
There's some long nights, but it was worth it. Like all those travel baseball days, weekends, and with the parents. I mean, that's the stuff the kids are going to remember, or at least the parents are going to remember too. Like the nights in the hotel or out in the parking lot where everybody's just hanging out, having some drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Those were our vacations.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our kids had a blast. I mean, they were running all over, swimming. You get a good group of parents and good group of kids, it can be a blast.
Yeah. That's like Knox is starting to get to that age where we've talked about getting like a Comanche group together for baseball.
Yeah.
Me and Mike Sexton and some other guys too. So, but yeah, could be coming up for me here soon.
You're gonna love
see,
it.
But
you're gonna love it.
So I guess thinking back to, so you coached you coached Zach obviously since he's little, Emily when she's little, and even you can even throw Kyle in there.
Oh yeah.
As well. But so when your kids were growing up, what would you say was the most important thing you told your kids about playing sports and like what it takes to be good at, not necessarily a specific sport, but just in general? So what do you think is the most important thing you would tell like a 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid that's getting into sports?
Like a 9-year-old kid getting into sports.
I mean, it doesn't have to be that age, like a young, 8, 7, whatever.
And I would tell my kids if I had to do it over again, I'd tell them a lot more now. Like, you got to have fun. Like, it's got to be fun, but there's also got to be that. Well, you got to read your own kid too, like how much does he or she really want it? Like you got to make that judgment. You can't want it more than your daughter or your son, but if they're excited about a sport and they're like asking you to do it and want to do more of it, I was all about like letting them play, like let's play. I remember travel baseball when we first started off, I think we only would do 4 or 5, maybe tournaments, and we would be done. And then kids would be like, oh, I want to play more. Like, let's get in more. Nope. Yeah. Next season, next sport. Like try to get them to have that, like want to come back and play it again. I don't know if it worked or what I don't know what the magic answer is, but like I always kind of wanted them to want more instead of get to the end of the season like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. Yeah. I can't wait for the next sport. Like try to end on a good note and and they're still having fun. Like it's hard as a coach because especially if you have a team that's really doing well, because all these AAU tournaments, man, they just keep blowing up and blowing up. I remember when we first started, you have school state, and you had USSSA state, and you had nationals or, what, like you have to stop at some point, right? And I felt like we did a good job of that in the early age, just kind of keep them hungry. Did I probably, if I was looking at it honestly, did I probably push my kids a little too hard? Probably. Yeah. I'm glad I have a great relationship with them right now. There were some rough times, there was definitely some rough times with all 3 of them, but, Sarah had to implement the 1-hour rule after sporting events. I couldn't talk to my kids for an hour sometimes.
It's just you in timeout, huh?
If you could do it all over again, I definitely would do a lot better, I think. But, again, like you talked about earlier, just being passionate and believing in your kids so much that sometimes it just gets in the way of what you probably should say or should not say. Yeah. But I don't know. I had a blast. I hope all the kids that I coached had a blast. There was definitely times I'm sure they didn't like it, but
Well, yeah, and I think about, because it was the Warriors, the baseball team, right? When they were little, was that they're called? I remember like even looking back and seeing pictures of those kids, like most of those kids continued to play, in high school. There's maybe 1 or 2 that didn't, but that's a sign that they liked it, or loved it when you were doing it. And then if they're still doing it, that's obviously a good indicator there. Again, they didn't get burned out or kept it fun and that kind of stuff.
And I think, again, it goes back to like what we were talking about earlier is wasn't just me coaching. It was, there's other guys involved, Matt Parson, Dustin DeWert, Sean Lawrence, Chad when we were young. Yeah. But as far as baseball goes, like the parents, like baseball is such a grind, like in the summer, it's just a long season.
It is.
You have to have parents that are kind of supportive, because I guarantee you, because I know my kids for sure sometimes would wake up like, oh, we got to play an 8 a.m. game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to have those parents that are like, or hey, we're going to go play baseball and not go on the river.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's tough. We were lucky. I was very lucky, extremely lucky.
Yeah, that's like you said. I think the baseball, like you said in Iowa, anyways, it is because especially guys that are, good football players, things like that. You got all the football workouts going on. You just come out of track. Now you got baseball. You're juggling baseball and football. That's a lot for any kid, I think.
Yeah.
To juggle all that.
I know we Brady Beal and Tyler Mulholland and I were kind of talking about this the other day in the weight room about what if there were some rumblings. I don't know how much it is, but I don't think Iowa will do this. But as far as high school goes, switching softball and baseball to a spring sport, I don't think that's going to happen in Iowa. But I just think that would be so much better. I mean, I know the weather is not. I mean, right now it's pretty crappy. It's almost April and it's still 30, 40 degrees out. But and I know there may be tracks involved. I know tennis and golf is still going on in Iowa, but like then kids have they have a summer a little bit. They're still going to do stuff. I mean, they're still going to do basketball stuff. They're still going to do football stuff. They're going to lift weights. But I mean, for a kid that plays baseball, football, basketball, and even talk about track going right into baseball, like that kid really doesn't have a break. And it's hard. And like as a football coach, I'm always kind of like, well, like, I mean, we have to lift weights, and it's that's for every sport though. Like it's not just for football lifting weights. I know some people are just like, well, only the football guys are in there. I'm like, no, anybody can come here and lift, it's not just football guys, but a lot of those football guys are doing other things too. But, I'm cutting back on what we're doing a little bit this summer for as far as football goes, like on the field stuff. I'm cutting off like 6 days than what I normally do just for a little bit of that reason. It's just, we got so many kids doing all this stuff, and we just gotta let kids be kids a little bit every once in a while too, I think. And really, I mean, the way I look at it is, I mean, what we're doing in June, on June 13th on the field, really, I mean, is that going to make or break us come August? Probably not, so just cutting back a little bit, I think is a good idea too.
Back to the, talking to a young kid that wants to get into sports, like they've got to want it too, like, but I know like my own kids and the kids that I coached when they were younger, 7, 8, 9 years old, I never talked about, I mean, I talked about trying to win then, but not as much. Like we always talked about winning when you got older, when it mattered, like we were talking about, you want to be the kid that's on the floor or on the field, like we're trying to get you there. I mean, we don't get me wrong. Every tournament we went into, we were trying to win, but like, I know us coaches and even the parents, I think we're thinking long-term, like we're thinking like, hey, we're trying to get you ready for high school.
Yeah.
Like we want you to be good in high school. Like, yeah, it's fun to win a tournament here. Here's your trophies, but we want the trophy in high school, and that was kind of the goal, like.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, that's kind of like I'm coaching 7th grade basketball right now, kind of the same. I mean, obviously I want to win every game we play, but we're trying to get them ready for high school level,
right.
And hopefully we keep getting better and improving, that kind of thing. But, and I don't know, some kids might understand that, some don't, but, I always, I don't know I had no idea what our 7th grade record was, this year,
Right.
If like the varsity football, I know every single record I've had, and since I even know the records we had when I was an assistant coach, but, I don't know, that's the end all there for that. And then obviously some kids are going to go on and play college and all that too. But yeah,
there's no magic answer. I think it's just being consistent and, like, especially at a small school, I guarantee you Comanche, just like any other town, is going to go through peaks and valleys.
Yeah.
You get great coaches. You can keep being consistent with what you're doing, but it comes down to the dudes and the,
100%.
girls and boys. You got athletes or you don't, like,
yeah. And
it doesn't mean you don't keep working hard and keep doing the things that you want, for a program and keeping the culture. But sometimes small schools are just going to have those peaks and valleys,
right.
Just
Good
and
point on the athlete's part.
Yeah, and like if you have a great coach as opposed to and maybe a below average coach on those less talented teams, and maybe might be a difference of 2 wins, maybe 3, who knows? But it depends. Yeah, I agree. I got another question for Ben, but Sean, you said Sean would comment on here. It was good. He said, "Great times, Benny." Fist bump. Ryan Jordan, he says, "I think it's a disservice to those players looking to play at the next level, being in the summer recruiting wise." So he's referring to softball and baseball there. So I would agree too, especially, I mean, most kids have especially if you're a senior and you're playing, you're you're playing baseball after you graduate high school, basically. You're probably already decided where you're going to go, before you even have your senior year.
Well,
that's tough. Yeah, I agree.
Seniors in baseball is like the toughest, because they're done. They're ready to go. Like whatever they got going on. Like that year we went to state was, we had a lot of seniors that year, and I'll never forget the game we lost to Northeast. We played a doubleheader at Northeast, and we lost the first game. But it was happening leading up to that game. You can kind of see we were just kind of like, oh, it's long, it's the grind, it's kids are ready to move on. Then that loss, it was just like a slap in the face.
Welcome up.
It's time to go. And it, but being and not only just sports, but being able to get a job in high school. If you play multiple sports, it's hard to get a job, hard to find someone that wants to work around your schedule when you're working around 4 sports in the summer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I worked every summer when I grew up. I had a job. I still played a sport, a travel sport, but I think kids need to learn how to work too during their high school times. And it's tough if you play multiple sports nowadays. It's hard to get a job unless you know somebody that can work around the schedule.
You got to go to that Hy-Vee, man, and bag groceries. That's what I did. I did it around that. You know what? Then I quit and I went to the car wash my junior year. That was the best job ever. Just work Sundays, 8-hour shift, man. I mean, I agree with you. That needs to be out there because, they still need to understand that, because in a year or two, if you're a junior, senior, you're going to college and you're fending for yourself. You don't have mom and dad by your side. I mean, I think there's things out there, but like you said, it's really hard though with, between academics and playing multiple sports, it's kind of hard to fit that in there. Like, okay, I need to make, $150, $200 to pay for whatever. And you're like, yeah, I can't do it. Where do you fit it in? I mean, you pretty much got to give up your weekends at the end of the day is what you have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I'll go back and argue for sports against, the working is sports teach you a lot about life too.
Yeah.
Time management,
absolutely. Work ethic.
So, there's
a lot. Yeah.
It's tough.
Adversity. To deal with it. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff. Yeah. We'll get into your son, Zach Erwin.
Okay.
So I think we hit it at the very beginning, kind of talking about multiple sport athletes and all that. So Zach obviously was, played baseball, golfed, I believe, right? Yeah. Maybe did he play tennis too 1 year? No, I don't think so. No. Okay. So he golf, baseball, basketball, football. Did I miss anything? That's it, right? But so Zach would be an example. So I would say, and I think Ben would agree when I'd say this, or if Zach's listening, he'd probably also agree that probably basketball would be number 1, baseball 2, probably maybe golf 3, and then football 4, probably, honestly.
Yeah. And now if you asked him, golf might be
up there. Yeah. But anyway, so what I'm getting at is Zach would be a great example. I mean, obviously great athlete. I mean, has great size. But he'd be a great example of that kid that is doing a sport, and I'm going to use football, for example, that not his favorite. I mean, obviously all his buddies did it, and that's probably a big reason why he was doing it. But he was capable. I mean, he was athletic. He's on the field. And his senior year, he tears his ACL playing football. It was kind of, I remember right on our sideline, he was going to block a guy and kind of just slowed up because he knew if he kept going, he's going to block him in the back. And you could just kind of see the foot plant and then the knee kind of give out, and kind of knew instantly what it was. And it was just kind of, it was just tough to see, especially right in front of us. And, but that I just always I have so much respect for Zach for being on that team and just, doing something that he didn't necessarily, it's not his favorite thing to do, but he knew it was best for probably him, probably his teammates. And he knew he wanted to be out there and be successful and do all that. Obviously ruined his senior year. Basketball wise, I know baseball, he was able to play a little bit coming off that, but just seeing that, and those are the type of kids that you need and you want for your programs. And it's not, it could be a kid that basketball is his least favorite sport, and I know it sucked he got hurt doing the sport that he wasn't his best or his favorite, I guess you could say. So just kind of, and then Zach, then freshman year, college, tears his ACL again, right?
Yep.
So he's bounced back very well though from that. He had a great year at Kirkwood today. So kind of go through that process of your emotions, how you felt when Zach went through all that.
It was his sophomore year. He didn't go out for football, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I remember having a conversation with him about that. I was a little, I was like, you got to do what you want, but I was also a little upset about the decision, but you can,
I remember right. I think I was upset about that decision too.
Yeah.
It was just a conversation we had as a family, and and he, at that time, that's what he felt was best, and he was pretty adamant about it. So it was kind of like, again, as a parent, okay, he's making the decision before the sport, which is good. And,
yeah.
But I told him, the rule, if you don't play a sport, you get a job, so he got a job at Culver's, and that might have played a part of him going back out his junior year.
Yeah.
But I think if he's listening, I know he's shared with me, I'm almost 100% positive not being with his buddies was the number one thing, to drive him back to football. When they're after school, they're going to football practice, and, they're,
he's going to Culver's.
He's going to Culver's.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that kind of, he was missing out, and it wasn't even a question. He was going back out his junior year, and then, you fast forward his senior year, goes out and then tears his ACL. I still remember Sean Lawrence looking up at me right away, it ain't good.
Yeah.
At the time I was just,
I'll be sure you're pissed.
Yeah,
you got a lot of emotions. I get it. Yeah.
Seeing red at the time, but
yeah,
I didn't know how he was going to react. Was it going to be right away? I didn't know if he was going to blame me. Because I never knew if he was really playing at the time. I didn't know if he was truly playing football for his, his buddies and stuff like that, or is he doing it just to please dad?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I didn't really push him to even go back to football, to be honest with you. So I didn't think that was going to happen, and I was glad it didn't. I was always worried about it, but he'll say to this day he doesn't regret going out for football. Even the torn ACL. Just being with his buddies, going out. Everything happens for a reason. It created other great stories too. His senior year for basketball, probably one of the best moments of my life. Is when he hit that 3.
Yeah.
On senior night. But then fast forward to Kirkwood his freshman year, during preseason, tears his ACL again, and then rehabbed again and came back and completed his redshirt freshman year this year. And it's good season.
He averaged about 9 points a game, right around there. Yeah. It's awesome.
He's torn his ACL twice.
Yeah, same one.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's tough, and to be able to come back and then still want to grind and be like, hey. Yeah, that's.
Oh yeah, I'm sure there was some questions in his mind after when the second one.
Yeah.
who wouldn't have any,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
but,
Sure.
yeah, no, everything happens for a reason. I think he said it, he doesn't regret anything. And, yeah, he's moving.
Yeah.
Everything's going well
Yeah,
now.
good.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's reached out to even a couple players that have in high school that have thought about not playing a certain sport and just kind of telling them why he did it. You
Yeah.
know, like, you're going to regret not playing, but it's not for some sports aren't for everybody.
Right.
But if you're connected to a group and you got some buddies, there's nothing better,
Yeah.
Right.
I use that. I think I use Zach example a lot to kids, and especially like younger kids. Now that I'm in the middle school level with 7th and 8th grade, like I'll say to a kid, like, what would you do if so and so didn't go out for basketball? Like, how would this team be? And they'd be like, well, that we wouldn't be very good. I'm like, or like, it wouldn't be the same without them, type thing. I go, well, what if it, what if the same thing happened with you with football? A kid that football is not maybe his, or baseball, even, whatever. And then it's just kind of getting them to like get their mind rolling of like, hey, I need to do this for my guys, or do this for my boys or my girls or whatever, or do it for just so we have a successful season, even, maybe. So I don't know. I think I love the Zach example, and even quitting, coming back, or not going out. I guess he didn't quit. He didn't go out, and then the ACL and all that. So yeah, it's good stuff. And then like Coach Grimm said, tough times make tough people. So
yeah,
he's very proud of you and the Erwin fans, Zach and the Erwin family. But yeah. JP, you got any coaching questions or anything for Ben?
No, I didn't have anything on that. No, I just follow what you had on the.
All right, man. Let's see what we got our time here. Do you want to go? You want to go the Shohei and then tier talk, or just go right into tier talk? What do you think?
We think probably do tier talk.
Sure. Yeah, we're an hour and 20 here. So
yeah.
All right. Tier talk is top 3 NBA centers. I put of all time. I think Stenda's doing through his era of like who he saw play. So who would like to start it?
Stenda starts.
Stenda.
Oh, you guys gonna make me go?
Oh, we got to tell Ben the rule though. I think he knows, but so when he's done telling his list, we have to give him one word of what we think of his list.
Okay.
Just one word. All right. Go ahead, Stenda.
So you can say trash if you want, but
we will.
So I'm just going to use the era that I, seeing like when Jordan, pretty much, Jordan when he was balling. But yeah. I'm not going to do an honorable mention. I'll leave it up to Coach Coy. So I got the order's kind of hard. I'm going to leave. So number 1, I won't go with that first. Between 2 and 3, I've got, you guys know, David Robinson and Hakeem Olajuwon. And I'll pull out some stats for you guys. I think I'm going to put number 2 as David Robinson. Him and Hakeem both had 2 NBA titles. He was a 10-time All NBA selection, 10-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year. And I think, I put him there because he was he was like 7'1". I think that was more the defensive side, what he could do on the defensive side. And he also dominated playing the 5 spot. So I think Hakeem played with less players on his team, like not as good of talent. Mm-hmm. I think, but then again, he won 2 titles, the same as David Robinson. David Robinson, yes, he had Tim Duncan was kind of later on in his career, correct? Like,
probably like halfway through. Yeah.
So Hakeem, again, he's 1 MVP, 2 NBA Finals MVPs, 6 first team All Selections, 12 All Stars, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards. So again, 2 guys that just played I think that were so balanced that played honestly like defense for a 5 guy. And Ben, you can probably test this. I don't think you played the 5. You played like power forward, didn't you? Back in the day. Yeah. But I think, for guys who are that big, that could play defense and score. So they're kind of a toss up. I would put David Robinson 2, Hakeem 3. And then 1, you can't not put Shaq at number 1. And I'm going to say Shaq. I know he couldn't shoot free throws. But you win 4 titles, 3 MVP finals, 15 All-Stars. The only thing I'll say about him, he only had 1 MVP in his career. And I think it's really because he kind of let his body go. When he got past, like, I don't want to say his prime, he just kind of let his body go, gained a lot of weight. But I think, again, like, as far as like electric and dominance, I don't think anybody will it's going to be a while till we see another Shaq. I mean, he was dominant in the post.
He was so explosive for his size too, especially when his prime
changed the game.
Yeah,
it's tough.
The game it changed.
He just was so. And again, a lot of the knocks you hear about him being the number 1 center of all time is that he had Kobe, and then he bounced around and he had 1 MVP. He only had 1 regular season MVP. But at the same time, there were a lot of good guys in that league, that were upcoming. He had AI, all those guys. I just think, for the center position, like, dude, if you're going to throw the ball into the post, Shaq he could score at will. So he's my number 1. That's where I'm at.
What's your word, Ben?
My word's going to be scary, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Give it to me.
I was going to say valid. Valid list.
I'll take valid.
Why scary?
Because I'm afraid that him and I are thinking alike.
Oh, nice.
You're afraid what?
That we're thinking alike. That's scary to me.
Do you want to go next then, Ben?
Yeah, I'll go.
Yeah.
Same thing that kind of why you picked the kind of what you watched. It was kind of tough for me to greatest of all time. I never watched but I did, out of respect, I put Kareem at 3, and I'm sure everybody, is going to say he's number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, he's great. But like, this sounds terrible that I'm going to say this, but I see some of these guys from back in the day, and they look so thin, and my number 2 was Hakeem.
Mm-hmm.
So we're right there together with the Hakeem Olajuwon. He was outstanding to watch.
I loved him.
Man, they were tough. And then my number 1 was Shaquille O'Neal. And that's why I kind of brought up the whole, like, the older generation. They were so thin. Like, I just feel like he would have dominated back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, there was no one that could have stopped him. Like, I don't know. I mean, I know there's some amazing guys before that I've watched film on them, but
they make arguments that, like, back in the day, the talent level wasn't as good as it is now too. But
I mean, they had to reinforce the basketball hoops because of Shaquille O'Neal. Like, they had to change how they were calling games. I mean, he was just strong, I mean, he'd be my number 1 too, Stenda. That's scary that we're thinking alike.
Great minds think alike, my man.
But hey,
on the Shaq thing, the only guy I think that could ever play him, and I know that we're kind of getting off topic a little bit, but the only guy that ever could really lock him down that I can remember, maybe you guys have somebody different, is Dennis Rodman. He was the only guy that could play him. He was the only guy that could legitimately play him and make Shaq turn the ball over. Shaq couldn't get as deep into the post where he wanted to be to set up. Outside of that, like you said, there was what guy could guard him? Nobody could guard him.
I agree. Think about, though, like, they could have called a foul every single time that guy touched the ball. I mean, guys, Robin included, they were all over him. And Robin was just good at playing that mind game. He'd flop he'd just get in the way. And, he was really good at it.
Yeah.
So fun to watch. But.
Agree. My word is copycat.
Oh. Well, he left Robinson off there, so
well, we'll full disclosure this. Stin and I are talking about this before we went on air, and we originally had the exact same list too.
Did you really?
Yeah. But, so I changed my list up because of that. Because I didn't want just to repeat the same thing over and over. But so I have Hakeem Olajuwon at 3. Still put him in the list. He I won't do my honorable mentions, but Hakeem Olajuwon 3. He might be the best, like, international player ever, in my opinion. And just watching him, and like you were saying, he didn't have as much talent around him, and still, averaged 22 a game. I think I wrote down like 11 boards a game. he had like his post moves are unreal. Like haven't really seen anything like it. He could do anything down there. And then I found this stat, and this was wild to me. He's the only player in NBA history to rank top 14 in scoring, blocks, steals, and rebounds. Thought that was pretty wild.
Yeah.
And the steals thing is what I was kind of, I didn't think he'd be top 15 in steals in a career. So just interesting there. I think he's first in blocks, which I was kind of surprised by too. But yeah, he's top 14 in those categories. My number 2. Now I didn't see these guys play. Obviously as well before my time, but I put Bill Russell as number 2. So going back, looking at the stats and everything, he won 11 NBA championships in 13 seasons, which is insane.
Yeah.
He averaged like 22 rebounds a game, and like 19 points or somewhere around 15 points. And then the other interesting thing was blocks were not a stat until 1973. Yeah. So I saw this article where some guy got 135 taped games of Bill Russell and charted how many blocks he had in the 135 games. And it was like 8.3 blocks a game. So if stats were kept back then for blocks, he'd probably be number 1 as well. So that's Bill Russell. Number 1, I put Kareem. Obviously, he's the scoring leader for till LeBron broke it. It was last season, right? Or was it this year? I can't remember. But LeBron broke his scoring record. The one thing I found interesting with Kareem is he won a NBA Finals MVP in 1971 and then won another NBA Finals MVP in 1985. So it's 14-year difference between his NBA Finals, and he's still averaging like 28 a game in 85. So just crazy. He won 6 championships, 6 MVPs, which is the most ever. He averaged 24.6, 11 boards, 2nd in scoring, 3rd in rebounds, 3rd in blocks. So he's top 5 in main category. So he's number 1 for me.
Yeah.
Number 1.
I wish I could have seen him play.
Yeah, I know.
Besides on film. I mean,
yeah.
I think Sean probably watched him play, didn't he?
Yeah, he might have. He's old. Well, Kareem was still playing in the 80s.
Yeah.
So
it's just crazy the names that we're leaving off.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
Ryan Jordan. Well, give me your word first, and we'll talk about Jordan's comment.
Solid.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I say respectable.
Yeah.
I just don't like to pump your head up. That's it. That's the only reason why I don't give you any. I don't always, you know what I think about you behind the scenes. I know I just don't want to pump your head up anymore. I'm just kidding.
So you're fake on here, aren't you? No, Ryan Jordan says, is there anyone in the current game you guys would consider? As far as center goes, the only one that I would put probably maybe eventually be like Jokic.
Oh,
the
from
Joker, the Nuggets. I mean, he's considered a center. I'm pretty sure 5, and I think he's got 2 NBA Finals or NBA MVPs. I just won the finals. Yeah. Embiid, Giannis. Yeah, but like Pete said, I think they're more power forward guys than centers. But
where do you list that Victor at from the Spurs?
Wembanyama.
Where do you list him at? Guard, forward?
Yeah, I don't think he's a true 5. He's like a 3 or 4, even though he's like 7'3" or whatever he is. But
I'm not gonna lie, I don't follow the NBA very much anymore.
Yeah, I don't watch a ton of it, but
if the Spurs are on though, I watch.
They're fun to watch.
Because
they're bad, but Wemby is fun to watch. Yeah,
it's crazy what he can do.
Yeah, he can do a lot for his size. Wild.
The difference, so now, like, would you guys? I mean, who's like really a true center 5 now? You know, like where Shaq was like a true 5.
Many.
Yeah,
I mean, Jokic. I think I don't know, but Jokic can step out and shoot it too. I mean, I think like a true 5 is like like a Shaq, a Kareem, Hakeem, who those guys weren't like stepping out and shooting threes.
No.
Think about all the teams back to Shaq. Think about what all the other teams had to do because of Shaq. Like they had to get guys on their bench that were just big dudes that could just foul.
Yeah.
Every team had to get like a couple dudes just to foul them.
What's he has 1 3-pointer in his career, right? Isn't that right, Shaq?
I don't know.
I thought he had 3, but maybe not.
Or 3. Yeah, it's I think it's less than 5.
How many guys made millions just because they were big so they can go in foul shack? That was it.
Yeah.
That was their job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You just don't see that now. I mean, that's probably, the defense and stuff now. And I get it's a different era, but it's kind of like now, like watching it, I've turned it on a little bit. I'm like, it's kind of like that all-star game. You're telling me you score 200 and some points in the all-star game? Get out of here, dude.
Yeah.
Come on.
Our generation was spoiled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We really were. I believe that 100%.
I agree. Yeah, I definitely watched a ton of NBA growing up.
Yeah.
Probably maybe a little more NBA than college growing up. Now it's the opposite for me, but
I mean, I couldn't wait for WGN to turn on.
Oh, yeah.
Bulls.
Watch the Bulls, man.
Yeah.
John Red Kerr in the play-by-play. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
Jordan always had his little whatever. Remember, he put on his stuff on his hands there.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to Kerr in them, and
Yep.
and then he dropped 50. Like it was nothing.
I'm sure you guys had that debate yet?
We did. I don't remember what episode number that was, but we did. I think that might have been when Grimm was on.
Grimm? Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was when Grimm was on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
That's some man. You could almost have a whole segment on.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not really. It could be done in 5 minutes for me.
Yeah. No.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. MJ, I love it. MJ. Everybody knows. It ain't LeBron. I mean, whatever. He's done great for 20 some years, but
right. No, I mean, no disrespect. He's a great player. But.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think LeBron wouldn't have survived in Jordan's era he might have lasted 12, 13 years playing at a high level. There's no way. Just the way they
in your
play
starting lineup. You got to pick any 5?
Yeah, I think he'd be in it. Because he's a pretty good facilitator too. Yeah. LeBron is. I mean, he can defend when he wants to. So
yeah,
I'd put him in there.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Oh, here we go. Pete Tenzilla says LeBron better compared to Magic. Regardless, terrible comparison. MJ and LeBron. Do you guys understand what he's saying?
It's LeBron.
He's just trying to say Jordan and LeBron aren't the same.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Type of player.
I agree. Yeah.
I think we're comparing because they're trying to say who the GOAT is. Who's the greatest. That's the only reason why they are different players.
Yeah. But and the LeBron Magic comparisons is good, I think, too. As far as same type of player.
He's saying you can't compare him, but
everyone
else does.
If you're going to build a team, let's not compare. But if you're going to build a team, your number one pick is who?
I'm picking Jordan.
Exactly.
Jordan. Come on, man. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jordan.
There's a bunch of LeBron people out there, too.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that's my number one pick.
Yeah.
Then Pete's right. The number 2 pick might be tough. Are you going Magic Johnson or LeBron?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Valid.
Yeah,
that's valid. Because then you got to make sure you got positions,
right? Then
you got Kobe too. Yeah,
I think I'm with him, Jordan. I think you have Jordan and Kobe in there no matter what. I mean, I have 5.
Yep.
Did he just say is Grant Hill similar to LeBron? No, come on, RJ. Grant Hill was good, but
if he stays healthy.
Yeah. Are you drinking, bro? I mean, I know it's not a school night, dog, but come on, man. Grant Hill.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No. I don't think
Hey, Ben, I got a question for you, Ben.
Okay.
All right, I'm taking you back to your Ashford days when you were balling there because I want the people here because I got to settle this because I've seen you play when I was super young. I've seen Cash Bim play, okay? So we're going to wind this back to Ashford. We're going to take Ben Erwin to his prime at Ashford, Cash Bim in his prime. One-on-one, who's winning?
You know how we were talking earlier about how you got to have that confidence and really cocky? Yeah, I have that false sense of cocky. I beat him.
You think you beat him? I think
I tell my kids all the time, we were talking earlier about how to be so confident that you feel like you can beat anybody. Yeah. The Chicago Bears, I'm going way off topic here, sorry. The Chicago Bears backup quarterback this year. I can't think of his name.
Agent.
Yeah, he was talking about his dad and about how his dad has this false sense of
So national arm wrestling champion.
Yeah,
His dad is.
he's like my dad has this false sense of like cockiness, like he thinks he's so good. And I'm
Yeah.
like, unfortunately, I think I have that same problem. You know, I think I can beat anybody,
Yeah.
but I know I can't. But I feel like in the moment I can't.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like I'd beat Cash
It's yeah.
in a game to 11 to 5.
Ooh.
11 to 5.
Listen, I'm gonna say I think you have the jumper. I think you have the outside touch. Cash was
Yeah, he does have a nasty hook, like not a little hook. It's like a drop step. Yeah, it's a nice little move he's got.
but I think you could. I think that your perimeter game would. Yeah, I don't think he had it. Once he got to a certain range, I don't think he wasn't dropping like yeah. I don't know.
Did you see Steve Clements? God,
Did you
Steve.
Kyle Jackson bowling?
Do you know Kyle Jackson, Stinda?
Yeah, he was a couple. He was a couple
Yeah.
years
Yeah.
behind
There
me.
was a
He was
bet
David
that-
Johnson's age, I think.
We had a
But-
bet one time that Kyle was gonna spot me like a lot of, I don't know, is it points in bowling?
Pens or
Pins
Yeah,
or whatever. No, I can't beat him in bowling. I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
He's got several 300 games. I know
Yeah.
that.
Oh yeah,
I
it
think he's
was
a state
crazy
bowler.
what he was gonna
Yeah.
give me. I should have
Really?
took the bet just for fun. Maybe we
Was
did.
it
I
over
can't
100
remember.
pens he was going to give you?
Yeah, I think
oh,
it
wow.
was. Yeah.
Dude,
That's crazy.
You probably
That's
could have
funny.
did. You should have took him up on it, man.
I thought you had a self confidence that you could beat anybody.
Not
I
bowling.
think.
Basketball, yes. I to this day I still text Zach every once in a while, like, man, I still can beat you. I think, you know.
I don't think
I was thinking about that. Like, do you ever have that combo? Like, hey, man, dude, my prime. I'm
Oh, all
Zach,
the time, all the time. You know, just to get them going sometimes.
in my
Yeah,
prime,
that's
dog.
funny.
You ain't handling me, dog. You ain't even scoring one.
Yeah, yeah. You got to get them going every once in a
Yeah,
while.
sure.
You'll have those battles.
Yeah.
Knox.
We have him down here on the mini hoop sometimes.
Hey, Zach just said I beat him when I was 15, Stenda.
Oh,
He probably did, man, because that dude was. I remember one Thanksgiving, I'm like, he was like 6'4" then, or 5 or something. And he was only like 14 or 15. I'm like, dude, you're like taller than your dad.
I will say he beat me once. So I mean, my record's
Just
way
once.
better. So
yeah.
he won't go against me now. I don't know why.
No,
Probably just bullying him down low. He got
That's
some pounds
awesome.
on him now.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, Pete. That's how we stay young. Yeah, for
it
sure.
is. It is.
I just took Knox to the gym today and did some basketball stuff. So
Speaking of playing basketball, this weekend, this NCAA March Madness gets me thinking of MDA. I love that
yeah.
tournament in Comanche. It was
no
so much
longer.
fun.
Yeah.
No, they
You
don't do
still
it
playing
anymore. They don't have it.
Oh, they don't even do it anymore?
No.
Oh man.
They did it for like 33 years
Yeah.
or something, 34.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too bad.
When did they stop doing that?
It's been a couple of years.
2
now.
years, yeah.
Yeah.
2 or
Oh,
3
really?
maybe. Yeah.
There were some ballers like Carl
yeah.
Small
Some-
playing in there.
There would be like some former D1 guys that would come
there's
play in
some
that.
Great talent.
Yeah.
You know, finally get some kids that we coached
Yeah, that'd be
You
fun to
know, that-
watch. Yeah.
get to come back. It'd have been so much fun, you know, to watch like Delzels. and
Or be on their team and just
Be on
play,
the team,
play for
yeah.
2 minutes and then like, all right,
2 minutes,
all right.
30 seconds.
2
run
trips
down
down,
the
2
back,
trips, 2 trips down.
Get a couple fouls. Sub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said,
One
"How's the
more-
bracket doing?"
Oh, brackets, Pete. This is how the bracket's doing. I would say mine's probably mediocre at best right now. I think I know there's still some games going now, but I think I have 11 Sweet 16 teams, so solid, yeah. And I could get, if Houston wins, I'll get 12. I did not pick Yale or San Diego State, so that'd be out.
First time in my life that I can remember, I didn't fill out a full bracket.
Oh man,
I picked UConn to win it. That's how crazy my life has been. With
yeah.
not even following men's basketball, really Division I, anyways. Following a lot of D2 and junior college,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and then women's basketball.
Yeah, so I say my bracket's doing solid right now. 12 out of 16. That's good for me at least. But
Pete, Ohio State lost today. Women's basketball.
women's, yeah. All right. Anybody got anything else? Can we wrap it up here?
I think we got it all. I
right.
honestly been waiting all day to ask Ben all week
Yeah.
about the Cash
Ask
Ben.
Ben.
Because I was hoping Cash has watched this and be
Well,
like,
we
"All right,"
could-
and he'll challenge you to a one-on-one.
Make sure, yeah,
Someone-
make sure you.
I think Cash is probably in better shape than you right
Oh,
now.
absolutely.
Because he coaches one of the teams that Knox played against.
Yeah,
And
Does he?
he looks like he's still in decent shape. I don't know if he is, but
it's not really hard to be in better shape than me right now.
you were just chasing Mexicans down at the border, so you should be in shape.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, we want to thank everyone for jumping on and listening to us. Remember, those of you that didn't catch it all, maybe live, you can jump back anytime and catch it the full episode at your convenience. I want to thank Ben for stopping by and giving us his time too. We'll see you again next week for episode number 10. See ya.
Double digits.
Yeah.
Adios.
Thanks, guys.
Yep.
You betcha.